Have you ever felt a strange familiarity in a place you've never been, dreamed in a language you don't speak, or looked into the eyes of a stranger and felt like you've known them forever? These are not just accidents of emotion. They are whispers from another life. What if I told you this isn't your first breath? Welcome to Mindful Footsteps, where ancient teachings meet the questions your soul has been quietly asking. I am Venerable Thien Tri, and today we follow the thread of rebirth, karma, and consciousness across lifetimes. But before we begin, tell me in the comments, have you ever felt you've been here before? Or wondered why some moments feel remembered? If you're ready to remember what your spirit already knows, like, comment, subscribe, and share this teaching. Let's journey together, one mindful step at a time. The river beneath our feet, the mystery of pre-birth. Have you ever stood in silence, perhaps just before dawn, and felt a strange ache in your chest, as though something ancient was trying to surface through the stillness? Have you ever met someone for the first time, but felt as though you were remembering them? What if these are not coincidences? Let me take you deeper. Long before we had microscopes or moon landings, long before we crowned emperors or coded DNA, humanity has asked one haunting question: where did I come from? This is not a scientific curiosity. It is a spiritual longing. When I was a young novice, my teacher once looked at me with eyes so deep they seemed to hold galaxies. He asked, "Do you remember who you were before your mother gave you a name?" I couldn't answer. I wept, because something in me did remember. You see, in the West, we speak of beginnings, birthdays, origin stories, Genesis. But in the East, we see not a starting point, but a stream. Life is not a spark that ignites and then fades. It is a river, a current, a flow that never stops. And just like a river carries sediment from mountain to delta, your consciousness carries the sediment of your past, from life to life. The Buddha himself sat beneath the Bodhi tree, unmoving, unblinking, like the earth itself. And what did he see? He remembered his lives, not one, countless. He saw himself born as a king who ruled wisely, then as a deer hunted in silence, then as a celestial being, and yes, even as a tree spirit, unmoving, simply observing the winds of time. Now I ask you, if the Buddha could remember his past lives, not by faith, but by clarity of mind, what might you remember if your mind became still? This remembrance is not reserved for mystics. Let me tell you a story. In the 1930s, Delhi, a little girl named Shanti Devi began to speak of things no 4-year-old should know. She told her parents about her husband, her house, her death in childbirth. She even named her town, Mathura, a place she had never been. Skeptics investigated, and what did they find? Every name matched, every detail confirmed. She walked through the streets of Mathura and pointed to buildings as if walking through memory, not imagination. Now, pause. Let me ask you, do you believe that consciousness could survive death? Do you think memories can live beyond neurons? Comment below. Have you ever felt a memory that wasn't yours? I read them all, because this isn't about superstition. It's about expanding what you believe is possible. You see, stories like Shanti Devi's don't exist to convince you. They exist to crack you open, to loosen the walls of certainty that we've built around ourselves like cages. And once those walls fall, even for a moment, you'll begin to feel something moving under the surface, like a river beneath your feet. So I ask you again, not as a monk, but as a fellow traveler, who were you before you were born? And even more importantly, who are you becoming now? Do you believe that consciousness could survive death? Do you think memories can live beyond neurons? Comment below. Have you ever felt a memory that wasn't yours? I read them all. Because this isn't about superstition. It's about expanding what you believe is possible. You see, stories like Shanti Devi's don't exist to convince you. They exist to crack you open, to loosen the walls of certainty that we've built around ourselves like cages. And once those walls fall, even for a moment, you'll begin to feel something moving under the surface, like a river beneath your feet. So I ask you again, not as a monk, but as a fellow traveler, who were you before you were born? And even more importantly, who are you becoming now? The 5 aggregates, deconstructing the illusion of self. A monk once said to me, "You are not the waves. You are the ocean pretending to be a wave." Let that sink in. Because here's the truth most of us avoid. That I you speak of, the one you protect, defend, compare and glorify, isn't as solid as you think. Let me ask you, have you ever looked in the mirror and felt like you were watching someone else? Or maybe you felt disconnected from your own voice, your own body, like you were borrowing this human costume? That's not weird. That's awakening. In Buddhist teaching, what we call self is just a bundle, a collection of 5 constantly shifting processes. Form, your body; feeling, your sensations; perception, how you interpret what you see, hear, taste; mental formations, your thoughts, desires, habits; consciousness, the awareness watching it all. These 5 are called the aggregates, skandhas in Sanskrit. And here's the kicker. Not one of them is permanent. Not one of them is you. Let's break it down. Your body, it's changing by the second. Your feelings come and go like clouds. Your perceptions, filtered by mood, culture, memory. Your thoughts, spinning, contradicting. Even your consciousness isn't static. It's affected by everything around you. So if all of that is shifting, where exactly is the you? Here's a challenge. Comment below. Which of the 5 aggregates do you identify with most? Your body, your thoughts, your emotions? And what happens when you stop clinging to that? Let me give you an ancient analogy from the Buddha himself. A chariot is made of wheels, an axle, a seat, a frame. But if you take those pieces apart, where is the chariot? It only exists in relationship, not in essence. And so too with you. What you call I is an assembly, not a singular entity. That sounds scary until it sets you free. Because if there's no fixed you to protect, there's nothing to fear losing. If there's no self to die, there's no self to grieve. And this is where deep peace begins, not in clinging, but in letting go. Now, I want you to reflect honestly. Who are you when no one is watching? When your name, your job, your memories fall away? What's left? Have you ever felt like someone entirely different in different seasons of life? These aren't just spiritual riddles. They're doorways. Doorways to the truth that you are more than this identity, and also far less than the ego wants to believe. So if you've ever felt overwhelmed by who you think you are, take a breath. You're not broken. You're just beginning to wake up. Drop a in the comments if that hits home. Let's keep going. Karma and responsibility, the garden of intention. The Buddha once said, "I am the owner of my actions, heir to my actions." Take a moment to let that sink in. Not fate, not chance, not divine reward or punishment, your actions, your choices. That is your true inheritance. Now let me ask you something personal. If your life right now is a garden, what have you been planting lately? Each act of kindness is a lotus seed. Each thought of resentment, a weed, and day by day, consciously or not, we're all tending the soil of our future. Let me tell you a true story. When I was a young monk, our temple found a dying dog outside the gate, matted, starving, barely breathing. We gave it water, food, and shelter. The dog recovered, and over time, it never left. It became our silent guardian. One night, years later, a novice walking alone was about to step near a cobra coiled by the well. The dog, usually quiet, lunged, barking madly, just in time to save him. Now, was that just instinct? Or was it karma returning as protection? We cannot say for sure. But here's what we do know. Good seeds bear good fruit. Always. Even when we don't see the fruit for years or lifetimes. Drop a comment. What's one seed you planted this week, good or bad? And how do you think it might bloom? Karma is not some cosmic punishment system. It's cause and effect, woven into the very structure of existence. You don't get what you deserve, you grow what you cultivate. Think of it like this. Every intention is a drop in a vast river. One drop may seem small, but over time it shapes the current of your life. The question isn't, will I face karma? The real question is, what kind of future am I creating right now with this breath, this thought, this word? You are not powerless. You are not cursed. You are a gardener with a choice. So, what will you plant today? Modern mirroring, science catches up. Not long ago, what we monks discovered in the stillness of caves and the silence of breath was seen by many as folklore, mysticism, or worse, delusion. But now, modern science is beginning to whisper truths we've sung for centuries. Let me ask you, have you ever seen something that science couldn't explain? A child with memories of another lifetime? A person who almost died, yet returned with stories of light, love, and endless peace? Drop a comment below. Do you think there are things science just hasn't caught up with yet? Let's take a look. Neuroscientists from Harvard and Stanford are now confirming what monks in the Himalayas have shown through practice. Meditation rewires the brain. Studies using fMRI scans show that monks, some of whom have meditated for decades, develop increased gray matter, enhanced empathy, and less reactivity to fear. The amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for anxiety and survival responses, literally shrinks. Imagine that, fear shrinking with every mindful breath. Isn't that something we all wish for? And then there are the near-death experiences. People clinically dead for minutes, even hours, return describing journeys through light, hearing voices, seeing ancestors. In some cases, they recount details from operating rooms while their hearts had flatlined. How is this possible? Let's push further. Have you heard of Dr. Ian Stevenson? A quiet man, a scientist, a skeptic. Yet he spent over 40 years documenting children who remember past lives, more than 2,500 cases across the world. Some children, before they can even read, speak of towns they've never been to, name relatives they've never met, describe how they died, often in vivid, verifiable detail. In Burma, a child described being a Japanese soldier killed in World War II. In Lebanon, another spoke of a life cut short in a village far away. When investigators followed the details, they matched. Even birthmarks have appeared in places where these children claim they were wounded or killed. Now pause and ask yourself, if even one of these cases is true, what does it mean for you? Because here's the truth. If consciousness continues after death, even once, just once, then everything we assume about who we are must be reconsidered. Maybe you're not just your name, not just your job, not just your body. Maybe you are the ripple of many lives, the echo of forgotten songs, the continuation of choices, memories, and moments that stretch far beyond this lifetime. And maybe, just maybe, you're here now, listening to this, not by chance, but because a part of you remembers. So I ask you now, not to believe, but to inquire. Do you feel sometimes that you've lived before? Have you met someone and felt an instant connection or aversion? Have you had dreams that felt like memories? Share your story in the comments. Don't hold back. Someone else might need to hear it. Science may still be catching up, but you, your soul, your stream of consciousness, you may already know. Let us meet where East meets West, not in contradiction, but in confirmation, in you. The Bardo, between one life and the next. In the teachings of Tibetan Buddhism, we speak of the Bardo, a mysterious interval, a twilight between two lives. It is not heaven nor hell. It is not sleep nor waking. It is the in-between. When the body dies, the consciousness does not immediately vanish. Like a flame flickering in the wind, it hovers, untethered yet not free. The Bardo is this liminal passage where the echoes of our past karma shape the path of our next becoming. But here's a question for you. Have you ever felt like you were in a state of in-between? A phase of life where you're not who you were and not yet who you're becoming? The Bardo, between one life and the next. In the teachings of Tibetan Buddhism, we speak of the Bardo, a mysterious interval, a twilight between two lives. It is not heaven nor hell. It is not sleep nor waking. It is the in-between. When the body dies, the consciousness does not immediately vanish. Like a flame flickering in the wind, it hovers, untethered, yet not free. The Bardo is this liminal passage where the echoes of our past karma shape the path of our next becoming. But here's a question for you. Have you ever felt like you were in a state of in-between? A phase of life where you're not who you were and not yet who you're becoming. That's Bardo too. One of my fellow monks once told me a strange story after his 30-day silent retreat. He said, "I heard voices call my name, voices in languages I don't speak. I saw places I'd never been, but somehow knew." When he asked our teacher, the Lama simply said, "You're walking through your past bardos." It gave him goosebumps. It gave me pause. Let me ask you this. Have you ever dreamed in a language you don't know? Or felt fear or longing for places you've never seen? What if those were not dreams, but residue from before? The Bardo is not just what happens after death. It is all transition. It is the space between breaths, between thoughts, between one identity and the next. You may not know it, but you are in Bardo right now. When we lose a loved one, when we move to a new place, when we sit in meditation and our old stories fall away, that is the Bardo in this life. And in the moment of death, the teachings say, your entire life will flash before you, not to judge you, but to reflect what you've carried. Fear will arise if your karma is heavy. Light will shine if your heart is clear. That's why the Tibetan Book of the Dead is not really a book for the dead. It is a guide for the living. It teaches us how to recognize illusions, how to stay present even when the world dissolves, and how to walk toward a better rebirth, or even liberation. So ask yourself, if your next life began tomorrow, where would your current thoughts take you? What kind of energy are you cultivating? Let's reflect together. Drop a comment. What part of your life feels like a Bardo right now? Because the truth is this: between lifetimes or between heartbreaks, we are always becoming. The Bardo is not somewhere else. It is here. It is now. And how you move through it determines where you awaken next. Chapter 7. The Path Forward, Ethical and Spiritual Living. So how shall we live, not as saints, not as sages, but as students of presence? The Buddha left us a compass, the 5 precepts, not as commandments, but as guardians of the heart. Do not kill, even in thought. Life is sacred. Do not steal. Take nothing that is not freely given. Do not misuse sexuality. Let intimacy be rooted in respect. Do not lie. Let your words heal, not harm. Do not intoxicate the mind. Clarity is the ground of wisdom. Simple? Yes. Easy? Rarely. But when we walk with these precepts in our pocket, even in the chaos of modern life, something begins to shift. The world softens. The mirror of the soul becomes clear. Are you already living with one of these precepts in your daily life? Which one challenges you the most? Let me know in the comments. We grow through sharing. Now add to this the Noble Eightfold Path, the Buddha's blueprint for a life well lived. It is not about beliefs. It is about practice. Right view, see clearly. Look beyond appearances. Right intention. Let your aims be guided by compassion, not ego. Right speech. Speak only what lifts, never what breaks. Right action. Let your deeds be your true voice. Right livelihood. Earn in ways that do not harm. Right effort. Water the wholesome seeds. Starve the weeds. Right mindfulness. Dwell in the now, not the next. Right concentration. Dive deep. The surface cannot show you the pearl. I once met a woman who came to our temple, trembling. Her husband had passed, and she whispered, "Can chanting help his spirit find peace?" I smiled gently and said, "Yes, chanting helps. But loving him now in your thoughts and prayers helps more." She cried, then smiled. That too was karma unfolding. Not dramatic, not cosmic, but intimate, immediate. Let me ask you, is there someone in your life who needs your compassion more than your judgment? This is the path forward, not just in temples, but in traffic, in arguments, in moments when it's easier to close your heart than to open it. This is Dharma in action. This is how we change not only our future rebirth, but the texture of this very breath. I invite you, yes, you, to try one small shift today. Speak kindly where you'd normally be sharp. Offer patience where you'd usually rush. And then, observe. Leave a candle emoji in the comments if you're lighting a new intention with me today. Because in the end, every moment is a doorway, and every action, no matter how small, is a seed. The question is, what are you planting?